Transformational is probably an understatement. You know, we were recently at a dinner with this gentleman, and he's just at a whole nother level. You wouldn't think this person could go to another level because they basically created the definition of high-level leadership. They've created the definition, and really, I would say, foremost expert globally in leadership. Dr. John C. Maxwell, if you look at, there's 5 books in the leadership category that have sold over 1 million copies. 3 of them are his. I mean, that's pretty much all you would have to say, right? But millions and millions of people have been affected by this person. He's a worldwide expert in leadership. I can tell you that in the beginning of our business, one of the first books I read was Your Roadmap to Success. And it truly impacted my life. I actually brought it. It's in my bag, and I wrote all the notes, and I did all the lessons that he said to do in there, and I jotted down on all the pages. And I got to tell you what, from the John C. Maxwell that we all know, the books that we've all read, but the John C. Maxwell that is going to grace the stage right now is at a level that I got to tell you what, transformational, making major changes in the world, in nations. Right now, you probably don't know this, but John C. Maxwell has recently been invited to speak with the Pope. That's a pretty big deal, pretty big news, right? So give him a round of applause. He's actually been invited by 21 nations' presidents to come to their country to talk about transformational leadership at the educational level to change countries. Not just come into a seminar room and help network marketers, although thank God we get this moment with him. But when we say take notes, take notes. Presidents of nations are asking him to come to their country, to meet with their cabinets, to transform their countries. And you get him today. So take notes like it's the last time you're ever going to be able to take notes. So with that, please help us welcome to the stage Dr. John C. Maxwell.
Hey, Tammy.
Thank you.
Great to be with you. Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much. Woo. I want to say right now, Mark and Tammy killed it, didn't they? You just killed it. I mean, and by the way, Mark, on the Road to Success book that you were talking about a moment ago, grab that book and get it to me sometime this morning, will you? And I'll sign it for you, okay? And I want to look at your notes. I want to see how you marked the book. In fact, when people catch me on planes or everywhere, they'll just come up and they'll say, I have one of your books. I always like to, if I have time, I always like to look at it and just look at the markings and see what they marked as far as what was really, really important. And that's just fun. And I'm just delighted to be with you. Just really are. So look at your neighbor and say, I'm learning something. Go ahead and tell them that. Now look right back at your neighbor and say, not near enough. The day has just begun. Has just begun. I want to talk to you on the subject that I'm passionate about, and that is growth. The title of the lesson is Growth Matters. And I just prepared this lesson for you. I've lived a life of growth all my life, but I thought I need just to sit down and on paper put why growth matters to me. And I'm 69, and I've got some age on me now, hopefully a little wisdom, hopefully some maturity, although maturity doesn't always accompany age. Sometimes age comes alone. You know that, don't you, huh? But I've been around. I think I understand life pretty good. I think I understand what matters in life. And if you were to sit down at a table, if you and I would love that. If just you and I would be together. I love small groups, intimacy. And you said, John, what really, really matters in your life? You see, by my age, you've kind of cut out all the stuff. The reason grandparenting is so great is because by the time you're a grandparent, you realize that 90% of the stuff you were concerned about as a parent really doesn't matter. And it's just you just understand. You just understand that just a few things really matter. And at this stage of my life, one of the things I've discovered is that as I've grown older, I'm less certain about most things. When I was young, I was really certain. I mean, I was just really good. I mean, when I was young, I was certain. And if you just came up and asked me, I had an answer for you. I mean, my gosh, you ought to have heard. I had some of the greatest teaching on parenting before I became a parent. I mean, I was really good. I just had the answers. And then I had the children. And the children took away the answers. But here's what's interesting that I've noticed in my life, and I've noticed this about most people that have grown and matured, is that my certainties today are less than they've ever been, or less certainties than I've ever had. But the certainties that I have, the half a dozen things I really know. In fact, I would say this: you drop off a lot of certainties as you mature and grow, but the ones that you hold on to by my age, you're certain about those certainties. I mean, it's like, don't have many, but what I have, I'm certain of. So if you and I, just the two of us, okay? If just you and I were having lunch and you say, John, what really matters? What are you really certain about? I could, on one hand, give you the basic things that really matter. And one of those things that I would say to you without any question, I'd look you right in the eye, and I would say to you, the thing that really matters is growth, personal development and growth. And I would say to you that if you were really wanting to be successful, that should be absolutely at the top of your priority focus. Not focus about how high you climb in the organization and how quick you climb, but how much you grow and how much you develop. Margaret and I have 5 grandchildren, and during the summer we're kind of away from them a little bit more. They live in Florida, and we're up in North Carolina in the mountains a little bit. So I don't get to see them quite as much as summer. And the rest of the year, I'm with them all the time. And so I hadn't seen my grandkids for about 6 weeks. And so Margaret and I flew down and spent a couple days with them. And one of the things I noticed immediately that, especially John, he's our first boy grandson, and he's just turned 13, and he's just really growing. And he was named after me. Okay, he was named after me. Yeah, he gets the inheritance. Anyway, John didn't say a word. He came up and gave me a hug, and he just stood beside me. And I knew exactly what he was wanting. I looked at him and said, John, I said, you're really growing, aren't you? And he smiled real big, and he said, you noticed. Well, first of all, I couldn't help but notice he was right here. I mean, he was making sure I noticed. And I said, yeah, you're growing, aren't you? And he was so proud. And remember when you were a kid, did you ever have maybe your parents put you up against the wall and kind of mark it, and then maybe 6 months later, especially when you're in that real growth spurt, they mark it again. Oh, my God, you grew 2 inches. You know, I mean, you go, oh, my gosh. Well, you see, there's a physical growth that when you're a child is kind of wonderful because it means you're getting bigger. And there's all, there's financial growth if you work hard in the business and do those things. When you're in school, you're working hard on mental growth and all those things. But I'm here to tell you, your development of yourself in all areas is essential for your success and for my success. People ask me all the time how I get inspired to write books. And different books for different ways I got inspired, but on the laws of growth, I'll never forget. Now, I've done this all of my life. I've grown all my life. Every day, I intentionally grow. Every day. I've never had a day in my life after I heard Kurt Kampmeyer talk about growth had to be intentional. I've never had a day in my life that I did not intentionally grow. But I woke up at 3:30 in the morning. Now, I'm an early person, but I woke up at 3:30, a little bit earlier than normal for me. I woke up at 3:30 in the morning, sat up in bed, and I knew exactly that I needed to write a book on the laws of growth. About 6 years ago, I did this. I put on my robe. I went down to my office, And by noon, I'd already written out the 15 laws of personal growth. And I just was in an emotional high all those hours as I was just putting down these things. And people, I've had people say to me, how could you do that so quickly? Well, I didn't do that so quickly. I had 40 years of doing it. It was just kind of like a summary. Are you with me? It was kind of like, I don't have to think of what I should do to grow. I just need to think of what I am doing to grow. And what's a law and how does it work? Now, you understand, when I talk about the laws of growth, you have to understand that they're not ideas, they're not thoughts, they're not principles, they're laws. There's a difference. There's a grid that we take through. When I wrote the laws of leadership, when I wrote the laws of teamwork, there's a grid I take the laws through. And the laws must work in every culture. They must work regardless of any time. I mean, they work today, but they would have worked 100 years ago. They'll work 100 years from now. And they must work with both genders. And there are just certain things, a grid that I take through these laws. So when I talk about the laws of growth, they're the laws of growth. It was like when I wrote the laws of leadership, and oh my gosh, for 3 years I was on a book tour. That book's in 52 languages now, and over 1 million copies in China just alone. But I mean, and it sells more today than it ever has. I mean, so I'm doing a lecture tour on the laws of leadership, and I had a guy, I'm signing books, I had a guy come up to me as I'm signing his book. He said, I disagree with one of your laws. And so I'm signing the book, and I said, well, that's okay. And so I signed the book, and I start to hand it back, and he's just standing there. He's not, and he's not taking the book. And he said, you didn't hear what I said. He said, I disagree with one of your laws. And I said, I got it. I said, it's okay. And all of a sudden I realized that it wasn't okay with him, that it was okay with me, that he disagreed with one of the laws. And so now I'm amused. You have to understand, everything in life, I've got a pretty big sense of humor. And I said, it's okay. You don't have to agree with that law. And it was really bothering him. And I said, let me explain something to you. I said, it's okay. First of all, let me say that I didn't write the book to make you happy. I wrote the book to help you. I'm a leader, not a clown. I don't care if you like the law or not. It's the law. It's like somebody saying, you know what, John? I disagree with the law of gravity. I don't care. Just let me tell you something. Go up to a 4-story building, jump off. You will buy into the law of gravity immediately. The laws never go around. You with me, huh? The laws never go around and say, do you like me? Do you like me? Do you agree with me? Am I okay today? They're the laws. And when I wrote from 3:30 to about noon that day, those 15 laws of growth, I knew that I had given a gift to people that I, in most books, can't give to the degree that I did in this one. Because I'm here to tell you, if somebody came up to me and said, I would really like to make my life count, it would be the book I would put in their hand. And I would just say, just start learning these laws and start working these laws in your life. Because I promise you, the thing that's so beautiful about the laws of growth, I promise you, I know this for a fact. I've lived it. I've seen literally hundreds and thousands of people live. I promise you this. If you'll just start living the laws of growth, your life will become better. No matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, your life will become better. And so as I was working on kind of growth matters for you today, and I've never given this lesson before. It's just one that I wrote for you. But it's out of my life. So it wasn't a hard lesson to write. And there are 4 things that I want to say, just 4 observations about growth that I want to make sure that you have. Because if you have the observations, you already are being taught the 15 laws of growth, then we're going to be in good shape. And the first observation is very simple. Growth is the only guarantee that tomorrow is going to get better. Oh, isn't that good? It's just good. And you know why it's good? Because you know it's true. Growth's the only guarantee that tomorrow is going to get better. I promise you, if I If we all walked out of the studio right now and we just went out and met some people. We went to a mall here, okay? And if you would walk up to people and you'd say, let me just ask you a question. Would you like tomorrow to be better than it is today for you? I want to promise you, 100% of the people out there, I don't care who they are, where they're back from, everyone would say, yes, like tomorrow to get better. 100%. I promise you. I mean, maybe that's strong. 99.9%. You could have one weird person, couldn't you, huh? But most people, would you not agree want tomorrow to be better than? I mean, I think that's just kind of a natural assumption, but I think it's true. And then if you said, well, can I tell you how to make tomorrow better than today? The same people say, yeah, oh my gosh, yes. How do you do that? And then if you said, let me tell you how to make tomorrow better than today, begin personally, intentionally growing your life every day. I will promise you, there'll be some people say, well, that sounds too simple. It really does. I thought you were going to say win the lottery. And there'll be some people say, well, you mean you have to do that every day? You see, you get buy-in. Here's what I noticed. You get buy-in on the dream. What you don't do is get buy-in on the action. Everybody's got these dreams. Everybody's got these things. Here's where I'd like to go, and this is what I'd like to do, and this is where I'd like to be. Oh, my gosh, that's universal. The separation is not in the desire. The separation is in the action. Always has been. And I'm promising you, the only guarantee that tomorrow's going to get better than it is today is for you to get on a personal growth plan and stay intentional on it. Think about it. The calendar, as it turns every day, it turns every day, the calendar doesn't stop, does it? I mean, we don't say, oh my gosh, I think I'm getting old enough. Let's just hold time. It just keeps on going. Let me tell you something. The only thing the calendar guarantees in your life is you're going to get older. That's the only guarantee is, okay, I'm going to have another birthday. And I'm always amazed how people celebrate birthdays. I think it's okay to celebrate birthdays. I think that why is it people get excited about getting older, but they don't get excited about getting better? Why don't you have a birthday on personal growth? Why don't you celebrate the fact that 1 year ago, I started a personal growth plan, and I became intentional in my development. And let me tell you where I was a year ago and isn't it amazing how we'll celebrate getting older? And let me tell you something. When you celebrate getting older, I got bad news for you. There's a day you won't celebrate that anymore. It's kind of like you're going to run out. There's going to be one day when you say, "Oops, I don't get another one of those." So your goal in life it's not to get older. Your goal in life is to get better. In fact, look at your neighbor and say, forget getting older, get better. Go ahead and tell them that, right? Just tell them that. I went a year ago last summer, I went to our 50th high school reunion, and oh my gosh, I wouldn't suggest that. I was very excited because I hadn't seen a lot of these kids since high school, so it was a long, long time, but I would not suggest that. Because if yours is going to be like mine, I went to my high school reunion, and I am telling you, I graduated with a bunch of old people. And I looked at Margaret. I'm telling you, the first evening, it was one evening, then there was going to be another evening. And after the first evening, I looked at Margaret, and she looked at me, and I said, oh, my gosh. Hang around those people, you're going to die. And I made a list. I said, I've got, of course, I write everything. You have to understand. If I look at a tree long enough, I'm writing something. And I said, I've got to write down 7 ways to not intentionally get old. You follow me? I'm going to resist it as long as I can. Are you with me, huh? I am getting older, but I'm not going to get old. Okay? I can't stop the getting older, but I can determine about how old I am. You with me? So the 7 ways, and I'm going to give these to you real quick because you're so young, you don't need to worry about this now. You're saying, why is this old man telling me something like that? He's going to be passing out Geritol pretty soon. If you want to intentionally stay young, ask questions. Because what I found about old people? They've lost their curiosity. Yeah. They've just lost the curiosity. So number two, keep the bar of excellence high. Because you know what else I've discovered about old people? Old people, they lower their standards. They want to get comfortable now. All of a sudden, they don't want to strive anymore. Number three, be people-centric. In other words, think of other people. Because the other thing I found about old people is, my gosh, they're always talking about themselves. I don't mean this wrong. They do. They just talk about themselves. I mean, at that 50th reunion, I had enough medication advice. Half of them, my graduating class, they're self-prescribed doctors. And I mean, the biggest thing they could talk about was what pill they were taking and how it would help them in this area. And I walked around and thought, my gosh, they're all self-absorbed. They're just all self-absorbed. I mean, just good people, but I mean, old. Number four, be posture conscious. Old people slouch. I got to work on that because I caught myself slouching. And so, and the greatest deterrent of me slouching is I watch them all day. And I thought, I don't know if they're shrinking, they're just slouching. That number, I don't know what number I'm on. What number am I on? 5, good. Okay, thank you very much. I knew that. I was just checking to see if they're with me. Number 5, remain today focused. Just be, because they're not today focused. Oh my gosh. They're yesterday focused. In fact, literally, they talked most about when they were in high school. And I thought, you know, I went to high school too, but life's got a little bigger than that for me. Huh? Do you know what I'm saying? Hello? I was looking for a sock hawk to break out all of a sudden. I mean, I thought, oh my gosh, a couple times I just want to look at people and say, is this as good as it's going to get here? I mean, is this it? Is this it? And number 6, just stay in a growth environment. Remain in a growth environment. Don't hang around those people very long. Now, let me tell you, I was talking about people that are old as far as numbers of years, but can I tell you something I learned a long time ago? There's a whole bunch of old people that are in their 20s. So when I'm talking about being old, there's an age old, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people that I know, honest to God, I know some people, honestly, they're dead. They just haven't made it official yet. Are you with me, huh? I had a ministry background. I just want to go up to some of them and say, would you like me to do a committal for you? My gosh, you can see it live, right here, because you're already got one foot in the ground. We might as well just kind of make it official and finish it off for you. So my theme was, after I got out of that, I said, as you get older, don't slow down, speed up, because there's less time left. You don't have a lot of time. I mean, you folks, you can kind of you can go 65 miles an hour. I got to go 100 miles an hour. I got to go twice as fast as you. People say, well, why do you keep moving like this? Because I don't have as much time as you. So I got to keep it going. And I don't want to go through life. I want to grow through life. And that's why I'm so passionate about personal growth. Because let me tell you something. The next level of living for you requires a better you. Every time you go to the next level of living, you got to get better. If you don't get better, you get left out. It's just the way it works. So the only guarantee that tomorrow is going to be better than today is that you are developing and continually developing a personal growth plan in your life. Number 2, I'm giving you 4 observations. The second one is that growth means change. It means change. The only way... I've never met anybody that says, you know what, I've had amazing growth in my life, and one of the things that's exciting about it is I didn't make any changes. This is just fantastic. Just stayed the same, thought the same, did the same, and I'm just growing like crazy. They need to be committed somewhere. You see, growth and change go together. Remember Alvin Toffler, who wrote the book Future Shock? He has a statement that I just have never gotten away with. He said, the illiterate of the future are not those who cannot read or write. They are those who will not learn, unlearn, and relearn. Oh, yeah, I'm going to camp right here because I'm talking about growth means change. And there's a process, and I want you to get it. And the process is simple. You got to learn, unlearn, and then you have to relearn. And you can't omit any of those in your life. And that cycle never stops. I've been doing this now for a long time. And I want to promise you, I learn, I unlearn, and then I relearn. And you can't omit any of it. It's not like I learn and I don't have to unlearn. You got to do all three of them. And I could give you dozens of examples. But when I went from being just a speaker to an author, I had to go through that process because the communication of writing books and the communication of speaking is very different if you're going to be very successful. And so I had to learn how to write. I knew how to speak, but I had to learn how to write. And so, I went and found people that could teach me how to write. I read stuff on writing. I went to authors that were good writers, and I worked at it, and it took me 7 years. It took me 7 years to learn how to write. I still remember being in Houston, Texas, when I'm writing, and all of a sudden, I'm writing, and I'm saying, I got it. And I called one of my mentors, Les Stobie, on the phone. I said, Les, let me read this to you. Let me read this to you. And I read it, and his first words is, John, you got it. Now I celebrated, but the reason I celebrated is it took me 7 years to got it. Are you with me? I love these books. People say, well, I'm going to write my first book. Wow. I hope it's good. And I said, it won't be. I'm sorry, it won't be. It's okay. You got to write the first one to get to the second one. You follow me? So you got to start. So I always tell people, start, just don't be in dreamland. So when you write the first one, you just want to have a lot of family members buy copies. The average book only has a 3-month lifespan and only sells 1,700 copies. You got to understand the real life, folks. It took me 7 books. It took me a long time before I figured out how to do it. But I had to learn. But then I had to unlearn. And man, unlearning was harder than learning. You think it was hard to learn how to write? I had to unlearn because I am a communicator and I'm a speaker and I know how to connect with an audience. I'm connecting with you right now. And if I see you even moving a little bit on me, I'll look you in the eye. And I, with my persona and with the visuals and with my inflections of voice, I'll get you back. I'll get you back. Trust me. You don't stray on me here. Oh, no. If I have to, I'll walk right out there and slap you a little bit, shake you up and say, come on, get up. I'm not going to let you. Oh, no, you aren't leaving me in here. No. You start walking out, going to the restroom, I'll tackle you. I'll bring you back. You see, I've got the speaking down. But let me tell you something about writing. You're not with them. They've got that book and they're just reading that baby. And you better be good. In fact, when I write a book, I have a question I ask at the end of each page. You see, I still write with a 4-color pen on a legal pad. Yeah, I do. I know it's archaic. You can't even imagine it. But 27 million books later, it works. And every time I get to the end of the legal pad when I write, I ask myself a question. Will the reader turn the page? Because if they won't turn the page, you're out of business. And so I've got to make sure that what I got on that page is so good that they'll turn the page. And so I had to unlearn, and then I had to relearn. Then I said, okay, now that I can't do these things because I don't have them close to me in an audience, I got to pull them back, and I've got to do it. So there was a whole process that I just had to go through. Wow. But let me give you. I'm just going to take about 3 minutes because this one's really personal. I just haven't shared this. But I went just a few months ago, I went through the biggest change I've ever had to make in my entire life. And it took me a while to process it because this wasn't like a gradual change. This was a mountain. You see, from age 17, every day I have filed My father, at 17, when I told him I was called in the ministry, he said, John, if you're going to be in the ministry, if you're going to speak a lot, don't be boring. He said the way to keep from being boring is dig out, get resources, get research, file. He said get stuff categorized under different categories so that you always have something to say that's new and fresh. So I became an avid reader. I became an avid filer. And I can look you right in the eye, every one of you, and I can tell you every day since 17 I've filed. I'm 69. It almost wears me out thinking about it. So, I mean, I have thousands upon thousands and thousands upon thousands of thoughts. When my kids went to college, they had any paper to do. I have over 1,200 different subjects filed. And they just say, Dad, I'm going to do something on this. And I just send them some. I say, here, take that. This will work. This will work. My gosh. They didn't even have to go to the library. And over the last year, I've had this nagging thought that I need to throw them away. And for a year, I wrestled this. And I would go down and I would pull them out and I would look at them. And I finally made the decision that I needed to let them go. And I'll never forget the day that I decided to do it. We were still in our Ritz condo, and so I went over to where my stuff was, and I went. It was a day when I wanted Margaret to be gone. I didn't want anybody around me. And for 3 hours, I went and pulled out every file, and I looked at it, and I just cried. Two things that happened as I would look at those files. I was more or less emotional because of the memories. I could tell you when I would drop articles in that folder of why I dropped that article in the folder. So I relived all those years of filing. But what was amazing is, as I pulled the stuff out of the folders, I was not only emotional about where I had been when I filed those things and what that meant to me, it was very clear to me the stuff in those folders was not where I am today. If you look at something you put away about 10 years ago and you still like it, what are you doing today? I went through all of them, called one of the bellmen down, gave him $200, said I'm going to leave for an hour. When I come back, I don't want to see the cabinets or the folders. So I left. I came back about 2 hours later, and they were all gone. And I sat where they were and cried like a baby. But I said goodbye to yesterday so that I could say hello to today and tomorrow. They're gone. They're gone. Guess what? Work on material now. I don't get to go to my files. It's over, baby. It's already done. I got to think something new. Got to have a fresh thought. Got to have some good ideas. I got to get creative. I'm just here to tell you, my folks, listen to me carefully. That was huge for me in my life. But you're going to have to come to those places in your life, too, where you have to say, that was good yesterday, but that's not where I am today. And let me tell you something. I have been more creative in the last few months than I've ever been in my life. Can I tell you why I've been more creative in the last few months than I ever have been in my life? Because I don't have anything to rely on. I don't have any files to go to. I can't go over there and say, oh, I think I'll pull out that and get on that subject. And I'll see wonder what I said about that. I wonder what I hate no longer. I've let them go. And I would encourage you, cut off the thing that would make you go backwards. If you got to go backwards, you're not going forwards. Give it up. Change. Growth means change. You got to let it go. Number 3, third observation. Wow. I got through that. I'm kind of glad. I was not sure I'd get through that one. By the way, there are some times when I wish I had those. I want you to hear me on that. There are times I wish I had them. But those aren't my best times. Those are my lazy times. Mm-hmm. Those are the times when I don't want to work quite as hard. Those are the times when I thought, oh my gosh, I could just pull that out, put a couple things together, have my little talk, and I would be done. Let me tell you something. When you want to go back to yesterday and use what you did yesterday, those aren't your best times. Those are your shortcut, lazy times. Number 3, third observation about growth. Growth is the great separator between those who succeed and those who do not. It's the great separator. I promise you, what will separate you from people more than anything else is the very fact that you're growing. And I just got good news for you. I'm a mountain climber. Now, you look at this body, you say, you're not a mountain climber. You're kind of like a mountain. But I'm a mountain climber in growth. And every day I'm climbing. Now, get the picture. Every day I'm climbing. I've been climbing now since 17. I'm 69. Get the picture. Every day I'm climbing. So if you're climbing with me, and we're climbing the mountain together, and you say, you know, I got to have a week or two of rest. You understand. You stop there. And guess what I'm doing? Are you with me? I would suggest that you be growth conscious, not goal conscious. I'm not a big goal person. I would be very disappointed in you on goals. Goals have never been that exciting to me. I'm growth conscious. And let me there's going to be a slide I want to show you. We got to go through this a little quick, but if you put that on the screen, let me tell you the difference between goal conscious people and growth conscious people. If you're goal conscious, you focus on a destination. If you're growth conscious, you focus is on the journey. There's a world of difference between focusing on, am I there yet? Huh? How long will it take? Versus how far can I go? If you're goal conscious, it's something that motivates you. Okay, I've got a goal in front of me, and maybe in a year I can get that. But what I found is when you're growth conscious, what happens is you're instead of being motivated all the time, growth conscious matures you. It matures you because you understand process. Goal-conscious people don't understand process very well. They just understand destination. There's a maturity that makes you and allows you to value what you're going through today. And you don't overlook today because you're so wanting to get tomorrow. So you enjoy the moment. You can stay in the moment. I watch people that are goal-conscious. They can hardly stay in the moment because they're just wanting to get over there. And but there's a maturing that comes, and you enjoy the day-to-day stuff. Let's go on. Goals are seasonal. All right, I got to go on. And this year I want to do this. Growth, it's lifelong. It's like I've never gone through it like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm through my season of growth. No, you just grow. I'm going to grow till I die. You see, if you're goal conscious, I find that goals challenge people. But listen to me carefully. This is my favorite one. If you're growth conscious, it'll change you. See, you can be challenged to get to a certain place or a certain destination in your company and not be changed at all. But you cannot, if you're growth conscious, not be continually changed. And when the goal is reached, what do? We plateau. But when the goal is reached, if you're growth conscious, you don't plateau because you aren't goal conscious. You're growth conscious. And so what happens is I had a lot of goals. My gosh, you look at my life. I think I've hit some goals. I think I've been okay. But honestly, they don't do much for me because I'm growth conscious. I say, oh, that was nice. Yeah, hit that one. And I don't say, oh, my gosh, let's celebrate the biggest thing in my life. It's not the biggest thing in my life. It's just the thing that happened today in my life and happened to be a goal that I met. But I just keep on going because I'm growth conscious. I have no desire to celebrate or stop and say, oh, my gosh, this is amazing. Because what's amazing isn't the goal that I hit. What's amazing is the growth that I'm getting. Fourth observation, wow. And I'll wrap up with this in about a minute or two, but growth is joy. Growth is joy to me. And I can tell you, I had a mentor when I was about 30 that came into my life, and he said, John, he said, growth is happiness. And for many, many years, that was my kind of definition of growth is happiness. And then probably about in my 50s, I realized, no, it's better than happiness. It's deeper. It's more beautiful. It's joy. And I just wrote down, and I just give this to you in closing. When I'm talking about joy, what I mean is that I'm just full. I'm full of a lifetime of growth. It just brings me joy when I just see the journey that I've been on. And then I'm living what I love. I'm living my mission. I'm living my passion. And the joy that I really feel more than anything else is that I'm just still growing. Now, look at me. Look at me. Every one of you, quit taking notes. I mean, you've been taking notes. You're beautiful. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. I'm 69. Some of you are looking at an old man. And I am growing more right now in my life than I've ever grown ever. Oh, no. I mean, my businesses are going nuts. So that's just ridiculous how good they're going. But see, they're going nuts because I've had a lifetime of growth, and I grow all my people around me. So you have to understand, that's just a byproduct. In fact, those numbers really don't do very much for me. Let me just say something about numbers. Your first million is really nice. But when you get up to 10, 15, 20, 30, in fact, you can say, well, I don't know, is it 27 or 28 million? See, when I hit my first million books, it was like, $1 million, $1 million. Oh my God, I sold $1 million. Now you say, John, how many books have you sold? Well, I don't know, it's either 26, 27, maybe 28 million, somewhere, it's in there. Now, do you see how flippant I am with those millions? You see, when you got a lot, it doesn't matter. When you got a little, it really matters. When you're growth conscious, you'll begin to put everything in a right perspective. So, I'm holding up my book, Developing the Leader Within You. This is the first leadership book I ever wrote. Let me tell you something you don't know, no one else knows. I'm going to give you a little secret. I wrote this book when I was finishing my doctorate of minister at Fuller Seminary. And I had to do a paper, obviously, for my doctorate. And so they asked me to do a paper, and I said, I would like to do a book. And the academic people said, you can't do a book. We want you to do a paper that was scholarly. And I said, let me explain something to you. If I do what you want, 6 people are going to read it, and it's going to be in the archives of a library. If I do what I want, a whole bunch of people are going to read it. It's going to help people. And they said, well, you got to do it our way. And I said, well, you know what? I don't have to do it your way. I don't have to have my doctorate. And I walked out of the hearing. I don't have to have my doctorate. When did you think I had to do your thing? And I had a professor, Pete Wagner. I had a professor who said, John, let's go back. Let me go with you. He was a very respected professor. And he went in and we wrote it the second time. They said, okay, we'll let you do a book. This is the book. This is my doctorate. Hey, millions of copies later in dozens and dozens. This is my book. And it's going to have its 25th anniversary next year. And so I'm getting ready to revise it. I'm going to go through and I'm going to revise it, and they're going to put out there, revised Developing the Leader Within You book, and I'm going to do it. Now, this is my joy, but it's also going to be when I start revising it next week, and when I head off for Europe, I'll start revising this. And I'll go into a deep depression. Because probably about 80% of this book has to change. I'm no longer there. And the print on the word doesn't change. I'm no longer here. So I'm going to start reading. I'm going to say, oh my gosh, I know a better thought there. Oh my, I've got a better principle there. Oh, there's a story here. There, and I'm going to. So it's going to be revised, but it'll be revised 80%. Why? Because you see, 25 years that book has been right there, and I've been going like this. And so I'm now way up here. It's way down there. Are you with me? If you're happy with yesterday, you're not growing today. So there were some American tourists that were in a little European village, and it was just old cathedrals, cobblestone streets, and they were just in this nostalgic thing all day, loving this little European town. In the evening, they were going through a park, and there was an old man on the bench. They stopped, started talking to the old man. They found out that he lived all his life in that village, and one of the American tourists looked at him and said, wow, you've lived here all of your life. Yeah, I've lived here all my life. Well, let me ask you something. This city, little town's amazing. Have any great men, any great women been born in this village? And the old man looked at him and said, no, only babies. That's the way it always starts. Only babies. It's what we do after we're born that counts. And if growth matters to you, you have greatness within you. Remember this, growth precedes greatness. Thank you very much.